So as your business grows, it's very important that you have to start thinking much smaller. Now, a lot of people think that as you grow bigger, you need to start thinking bigger, but no, that's sort of when you want to double down and really get back to your company roots and get back to sort of that entrepreneurial spirit of making big things happen with a small amount of resources. And that's sort of what I've learned from Sam Walton and Jeff Bezos, who've also learned from Sam Walton, surprisingly. So yeah, in this video, I'm gonna give you guys 6 tips on how you should go ahead and think small when you grow your business. If you're at a stage or you're thinking to grow a big business and you know that you wanna do big things, you're gonna wanna put aside some time to watch this video, because this is gonna save you a lot of wasted time going this sort of rabbit hole of trying to grow big. You're gonna go nowhere without knowing these 6 tips, not only the importance, but how to go ahead and think small when growing to that next level. So stick to the end, because the last tip is super important. Before getting to today's video, let's start by announcing last video's winners for $1,000 worth of courses or consulting courses with me. The winner's here. If you guys want to qualify, all you have to do is drop a comment below, follow me on Instagram, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We'll be picking the best comment every single video. So tip number 1, you can only grow with one store at a time. When people grow, the first thing that comes to mind is, what can we implement to every single one of the stores to make them grow? What can we add? What can we buy? Like, how do we change all our stores to grow our company? But no, there's a saying called death by 1,000 cuts, meaning 1,000 small things could just kill you. Well, 1,000 small improvements could just blow up your company to the next level. So that's sort of what Sam did, was he focused on one store at a time. What he did was he made sure that each store was very tailored to their community. You know, if a store was in a place that rained a lot, they'll sell a lot of wet boots. And he made each store very contextual. You know, he made sure that each store focused on their own competitors and their own customers, and that's sort of how he grew. And having all these stores being tailored to their community, you know, if stores were from California, they might sell a lot of beach towels, whereas if stores were in New York, they might sell a lot of jackets. And that's sort of how he really focused on one store at a time, and that really helped his business. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, lots of communication. Sam really emphasized that it is super important for all his employees and associates to know all the numbers, all the profits, every single thing that would just help them grow his company. So it was very transparent to them. 2, his goal was to sort of get information and updates to every single manager as soon as possible. Back then, you know, the internet was brand new. They didn't have, you know, too many telephones, so it was much harder back then. But he'll set up systems, he'll set up satellites to get as much data as he can from all his stores and feed that knowledge around to all his different stores. And the next thing he did was he made sure all his stores had a lot of communication with the customers. You know, if they were no more than 10 feet away from a customer, they had to ask the customer how they felt, if they were having a great day, and if there's anything that they can do to help the customer. So communication was super important when it comes to growing, and that's something that they still focused on when they blew up to billions of dollars. Tip number 3, keep your ears on the ground. So it's important to, you know, look at the stats and everything and see all the numbers, but what's more important is getting into the dirt of things, visiting all your stores, checking out all your customer service emails, talking to all your employees, because that's sort of what Walmart did, and that's sort of what Sam Walton did. Like, he made sure that he himself, and he had a bunch of regional managers that would literally fly to every single store and literally see what's happening in store, see what is selling, what's not selling, what the competitors are like, what problems they have, what the stores might set up. And his goal for each regional manager was to find one thing that they could improve on that would pay for that trip. So they would have a bunch of private airplanes flying people all around to different Walmart stores just to find ways to improve it. And that was super important. And they would come back with all this valuable information on what should be sold, what competitors doing, what changes they could do. They'll have a meeting, find out what changes they could do in that region, and go ahead and send that message out to all the stores in that region to get them to implement and act on all these new discoveries as soon as possible. Number 4, push authority and responsibility down. As you sort of grow, a lot more authority and responsibility just goes up the chain, and it's very inefficient because then it has to go through many different layers to make a decision. So what Sam did was he made sure to push responsibilities down and have the store managers be in control of the stocks they order, things they buy, what was going on. And that's sort of why he made sure that all these managers knew their numbers inside out, so they could independently make decisions as a manager of their own. They wouldn't have to go ahead and ask permissions. And what he did was he also created this system called a store within a store. So within the store, there was many different subsections which were like a mini store, and they had managers for that. So there were many levels of authority, but each one of those levels were independent. Like all these stores within a store, they were independent of the stocks they should buy. The store itself was independent of what they should buy for their store. As a result, the company as a whole doesn't have to make many micro decisions for all these stores. And that was something that's super smart, pushing responsibility down the chain and lightening the load of what the top executives and you as a CEO and founder has to do. Next is force ideas to bubble up. Like you want to force ideas to come out, and the only way you can do that is through meetings. For example, every single week I have a meeting with my editor and we force out new ideas and things that we want to implement for this week. So every single week on our meetings, we have to have something new to discuss, or our YouTube channel isn't going to progress. And I do the same thing with all my employees. Every single week we have a meeting and you force out new discoveries and new things that you want to go ahead and try. And that's exactly what Sam Walton does. Next, he enforces competition. He creates this competition saying the best store to find the next winning product gets an X amount of cash. So that's another way he can force ideas to bubble up, using competition. And lastly, he would be relentless when it comes to forcing an idea come into fruition. For example, visiting one of his stores, he found that they had this greeter, someone that would greet people at the door as well as check receipts. And he found that they did it because it would lower shoplifting rates. And as a result, he pushed this idea to have all Walmart stores to have greeters. But obviously the executive said that it would be a waste of money. You couldn't afford someone just to stand there and do nothing. It was inefficient and it wouldn't be worth it. But he kept pushing the idea, and he was relentless at pushing the idea and was able to make that idea bubble up and turn into fruition. And lastly, number 6, this is super important. This is the one that you guys have been waiting for. Stay lean and fight bureaucracy. So let's start with staying lean. Sam emphasizes the importance of not building this big corporation where there's a bunch of leaks. He's always doing his best to fill in as many leaks as possible, no matter how filled their cup is. And that's sort of what makes Sam Walton as such an efficient CEO. He's all about productivity and optimizing his store, and will do anything possible to stay lean. If he sees a complicated layer that doesn't need to be there, he's willing to sack that whole layer just so that the store and company would stay more lean. Now, when it comes to bureaucracy, he wants to make sure that his company doesn't get built into this massive ego. He doesn't want to have fancy offices. He doesn't want to boost the self-esteem of all his executives, because when you grow egos that are working in this sort of big company, they lose that small thinking. So he really wants to fight that, make sure that they all stay humble, and make sure that they're not focusing on the growth of the company, but they're focusing on the growth of their customers and giving their customers more value. So that's the last and probably most important tip, where you don't want to ever forget your fundamentals of staying lean, cutting out unnecessary costs, doing things such as building out a distribution center. Yes, that would have a lot of upfront costs, but now you don't have to rely on third-party postal systems, and you now have your own, and that will save you a lot in the long run. So that's sort of how he stays lean and sort of break sort of what the normal trend is. Like, he does not think that he should rely on postal service. He does not think that he should rely on having people run around with scanners. Like, there's a lot of inefficiencies that he can see that he'll just sort of cut out completely. And that's the last and probably most important tip when it comes to thinking small when growing a huge corporation. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Question of the day: what was your best tip out of those 6? Let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. Other than that, thank you so much for putting your time and energy into watching these videos. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate all your support. I'm throwing out a bunch of high quality, unique content. I don't want to sort of bore you guys with the same content every single day, and that's sort of the goal of my daily channel. And I really want to thank all the people that are watching all my daily videos. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for your support through all the different changes in editing style and all the different video styles and all the different type of videos. Thank you for sticking through it all, and my goal is just to give you guys as much value as possible, and that's sort of why I don't upsell anything in any of my daily videos. All I ask is for a simple like of this video, hit the subscribe button. I want to blow up my channel this year and I can't do it without your help, so please do that. Drop a comment below. I've been answering every single comment. Hit me on Instagram, ask me a question, send me any inquiries on Instagram. I've been also replying to every single DM, so be sure to do that. And yeah, hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow, giving you guys much more value. Peace.